This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Chargers' new offensive coordinator is the Cowboys' former offensive coordinator. LA's agreed to terms to hire Kellen Moore as their OC. He and Dallas mutually agreed to part ways yesterday. Positive news for the Chiefs. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes came out of the AFC Championship game win over the Bengals feeling good. No structural issue with his high ankle sprain, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. He'll rest early this week, then ramp up, getting ready for Super Bowl LVII. Mahomes last night showed again why he's clearly the league's most valuable player, in the opinion of ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
Patrick, that's why he's the MVP. The MVP played like an MVP. And the last two playoffs, we've had two of the best quarterback performances we're ever going to see. And they just so happen to belong to Patrick. I think yesterday was the perfect example of Patrick Mahomes. He did stuff that we just don't understand and can't comprehend.
Dan Orlovsky on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Hockey Hall of Famer Bobby Hull, known as the Golden Jet during his playing days, has died at the age of 84. Hull and his son Brent, another Hockey Hall of Famer, were named among the 100 greatest NHL players in 2017.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. A lot to get to today. A whiteout at the Maravich Center tonight. The LSU lady basketball team, the women's basketball team, will take on Tennessee. LSU has launched its collective at long last. We'll get to that. The head of the collective is Brent Cunningham. He'll be here in hour number 3. And also, we'll recap some of the basketball from the weekend. The streaks for the Tigers and the Pelicans continue. Super Bowl LVII is set. First game was a total snoozer. The Eagles pounded the 49ers 31-7. So the Birds advanced to the Super Bowl for the 4th time in franchise history. And they did so really with a solid offensive performance and a pretty dominating defensive day. If you watched any of the game, I mean, Brock Purdy got hurt early in the game. It was a blitz by Hassan Reddick, hit Brock Purdy in the arm. He had a sensory issue in his elbow, couldn't feel his arm, a nerve issue, as they said. And so San Francisco became a one-dimensional team. I don't think they would have won the game either way. Philly was the better team, and when they have been whole, I think they've been the best team in the NFL. So that's how it played out in the NFC Championship game, and I don't know that many would have been surprised. The margin certainly mattered, but the game was a total snooze fest with just a runaway win by the Eagles. So we're all sitting there thinking, okay, let's hope the AFC Championship game lives up to the billing. And boy, did it. 23-20, your final. Kansas City beats the Cincinnati Bengals in what was a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Just flipped the results. And so we have a Chiefs against Eagles Super Bowl a week from Sunday. It'll be on Fox there in the desert out at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. So Chiefs, Eagles, interesting storylines there. Of course, Andy Reid, who coached the Eagles to the Super Bowl, now coaches against his former team 10 years after they fired him and looking to further cement his place in NFL lore, get his second Super Bowl championship. And Andy Reid is certainly a Hall of Famer, and now 3 Super Bowl. This will be his 4th Super Bowl appearance. An opportunity to maybe get his second win. So we'll see how all of that will transpire a week from Sunday. You know what though? I came to this conclusion on Sunday as I'm watching the game. And I get it that there's a ton of people here in this audience that are locked into the Cincinnati Bengals because of Joe Burrow. And there's a lot of people who maybe didn't have an NFL allegiance that do now because of Burrow and Chase, right? Maybe you didn't grow up a Saints fan, or you just didn't really love the NFL, or whatever the case may be. And so you've sort of just adopted the Bengals because, you know, the guy who's the greatest player ever at LSU plays for that team now, and so you're following them. But I came to this realization over the weekend. Maybe I already knew it, but when the game ended and the Bengals lost 23-20, and I saw the relative melt on Twitter, and not to say that Twitter is reflective or representative of all of humanity, but it is reflective of intense sports fans, which tend to be this audience, right? Like, I say this often, but just by the nature of the fact that you're listening to the show proves that you care more than just an average fan, because it's not good enough to only watch the game. You're seeking out further conversation, commentary, information, and that's great. Like, literally without it, I don't have a job. So, like, that's just the nature of the fan base. So, or any fan base. So, I think what I saw on Twitter last night is probably reflective of this audience in this fan base, which was a general melt after that game last night, because a lot of you have become Cincinnati Bengals fans. And what I realized is I have no space on my emotional sports fandom place for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's odd for me because one of the reasons that I think I have done a good job sitting in this chair for as long as I have is I am you, you are me. I grew up here. I love the teams here, just like you do. I went to school at LSU. I grew up going to the Dome and going to the Saints games. I love the teams, and so a lot of the emotions that you feel on a given day, I'm feeling the same thing. So maybe I express it differently. We don't always agree, and that's fine. But this is one where, man, like, the road is forked, and you all have gone left, and I've gone right. Because I have no space emotionally on my plate for the Cincinnati Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. I will always want great things for Joe Burrow. Like, I had money yesterday on the Cincinnati Bengals, and I was pulling for them to win. But when they didn't win, my reaction was completely unemotional. It was like, oh, well, Joe will be back. And he will, because he's great. And Joe's going to go on and have an awesome career. I have no doubt that he will become a Super Bowl champion at some point in his career. And he has completely transformed the Cincinnati Bengals from a joke, literally the joke, the punchline, the Bungles, into a team that we can realistically say over the next decade plus is going to be at or near the top of the AFC in contention for the Super Bowl every single year. I just can't melt over this team. Like, I am a Saints fan first and always. I do not care about the Cincinnati Bengals. If I want good things for Joe Burrow, but if Joe Burrow left tomorrow, then I would never give another thought to the Cincinnati Bengals ever. So you and I, we have like a lot. I think that's where there's a lot of there's just a disparity here where I don't think my opinion is going to match what a lot of you think or feel with this. And, I know the melt yesterday after the game was on the officiating. And there were a lot of terrible calls. But in every game ever played, in every sport, there are always terrible calls. The expectation of officiating is perfection. They are expected to never miss a call. That's our expectation. It's also an unrealistic expectation, and it is magnified in this day and age because when you have the AFC Championship game, there's 50 HD cameras covering every angle. We have super slow-mo, and we can see every single mistake they make in spectacular high definition. And yes, officials are bad at their job. I say it all the time. Officials are bad at their job. I am for Sky Judge and robo-umps and eliminate the human error as much as you can. But that's also not why Cincinnati lost the game. That's the thing that annoys me, because that's such a loser mentality. And I want to be clear, because I say that, and I don't have a better way of saying it, and I know that always sounds harsh. I'm not calling you a loser. I'm just saying, like, that's what losing teams blame or fans blame. You never hear a team that won go into a postgame or a team that won, their fan base go, yeah, man, but how awful were those refs? It's never a thing. It's only when you lose that you displace blame. I mean, that was a game in the AFC Championship game where the Bengals had plenty of options, plenty of opportunities in that game, and they blew it. The offensive line was atrocious. They gave up 5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. Joe Burrow threw 2 picks, could have been 4. He had 1 negated by penalty, and on the first possession of the game, he threw into double coverage, and the safety that undercut the route had it in his hands. I mean, it could have been a 4-interception day for Burrow. Wasn't, but easily could have been. And on top of that, the Chiefs had a touchdown taken off the board, and the Chiefs gave the Bengals a short field after Patrick Mahomes just dropped the ball. I mean, like, and after all that, you're in a tie ball game. I mean, the Bengals had, look, the Chiefs punted the ball from their own 37. The Bengals get the ball with 2 minutes to go, and I'm sitting there, cracked open a beer, and I was like, all right, here we go. It's Joey B time. Go cement your legacy here. Drive fizzles. They end up punting the ball to the Chiefs, who have now an opportunity after the long punt return to get into field goal range. And it looks like the Bengals are going to get a stop. And what happens? What's the guy's name? Osai, something like that? I don't even know his name. Doesn't even matter. Joseph Osai. Hits Patrick Mahomes 3 steps out of bounds. Dude, what are you thinking? Like, it's the most boneheaded, completely indefensible play that a defender can make in that moment. And the Chiefs kick a field goal, and they're going to the Super Bowl. So good for them, man. Chiefs are a good team. They outplayed the Bengals. Bengals made a lot of mistakes in that game. They'll be back. But, man, the thing I can't get down with is just people like going, the refs cost them the game. Hell, even with Nola no call. Like, Saints fans get pissed at me for this. The Nola no call is the worst non-call in the history of the NFL, maybe in all of sports. In that moment, if the flag comes out, the Saints go to the Super Bowl. But it's not why the Saints lost. Saints got the ball to start overtime. Drew Brees threw a pick. Saints forced a turnover on the first possession of the game against the Rams and stalled out and ended up kicking a field goal. No one ever brings up the face mask that A.J. Klein had on Jared Goff that would have given the Rams a 1st and goal with 3 minutes to go and a chance to go win the ball game right there. Like, those are the things you conveniently forget in the moment. So, I don't know, man. I know that's not something that's going to be super popular here, but I guess the bigger picture is, like, the Bengals are going to be back. Joe Burrow's great. You know, I know we could say, well, you know, Dan Marino made a Super Bowl in his second year and never got back. That's true. That's very true. And maybe that will be the lot for Joe Burrow. Maybe we all as Saints fans thought that after they won it in 2009, it would be a consistent thing, a regular thing, and it proved not to be. It was much harder to get back. But Burrow's fantastic. He's young. They'll continue to support him. That team, that roster is only going to get better, and they'll be back. But, man, as an NFL fan, how exciting is it to look to what the NFC could be over the next decade with Mahomes and Burrow the way we saw for a decade in the AFC, Brady and Peyton Manning. You know, that's a pretty exciting thing to think of for the next decade as an NFL fan. So, Super Bowl 57 is set. I'll be pulling for the Chiefs. I hate the Eagles. January 1993, Randall Cunningham and the Eagles had a 26-point fourth quarter, beat the Saints, and I've hated them ever since. I hate the Eagles, one of the teams I hate the absolute most. So there is no way in holy hell that I would ever cheer for the Eagles to win anything of significance. So let's go Mahomes. Let's go Chiefs. Go get one. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, LSU, at long last, has launched its collective for NIL. I want to talk a little bit about it. By the way, to start hour 3, Brent Cunningham, who's heading up the collective for LSU, is going to be here on AFR, so we're looking forward to that. Glad you're here on a Monday edition of AFR. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. You know where to find them online at 1hourbr.com. I always love sharing these great 5-star reviews. This one from John Saris, who said, extremely professional, courteous, and knowledgeable. Everything was explained before and after the repair and maintenance. Thank you, River City's 1 Hour Air, for a great experience. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. How many companies encourage you to go read their reviews? River City's 1 Hour Air does, because they've been in business for 40 years, and they've been pleasing their customers for 40 years, And that's why they have more than double the amount of 5-star reviews of the next closest competitor. Who they send to your home matters, and the level of service they provide matters. That's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and the crisp.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we're glad you're with us here on this Monday. We'll talk to Jim Kleinpeter, longtime LSU beat writer, in about 45 minutes from right now. The women's basketball team taking on Tennessee today. They're trying to white out the Maravich Center, sell it out. It's supposed to be a standing room only crowd. So Kim Mulkey and Mulkey Mania continues to roll. So we'll talk about the game itself with Jim Kleinpeter coming up here in about 45 minutes from right now. He's been covering the team. All right, it's after further review. If you missed it, today LSU launched their new collective, which they're calling Bayou Traditions. This, of course, is an NIL Collective. And for those that don't know, just to sort of oversimplify it, the collective is an organization operated independently of the university that, well, it's weird to say because it's being promoted through the university and with LSU SP, sports properties, and a lot of other things. So the lines are blurred, but just understanding It's kind of odd because whenever we have the NIL conversations, there's just a lot of semantics that go into it. But I think you all understand what I'm saying. The collective is basically not a university entity. It's operated independently. It raises funds to distribute NIL opportunities to LSU student athletes. And we have told you about a lot of these collectives and the work that they have done in a lot of different places around the country. And LSU has now finally launched theirs. It's called Bayou Traditions is the name of the collective. And they did release a video earlier today that featured, among others, Tyrann Mathieu. Here's how it's about a minute long. Here you go.
Down in the bayou, we have a rich history of traditions. They're deeply rooted, like the stately oaks that line the streets, and they bring us together, like the tiger that roams in their shadows. It is the march down Victory Hill and the golden band from Tigerland. It's Friday night at the box, Saturday night in Death Valley.
And it will be Saturday night in Death Valley.
It's sticking the landings and earning a crown. It's going low and leaping high. It's the Sanday Tiggs and P-Mac Magic. It's the unforgettable taste of a tailgate and the indescribable touch of the wind bar. Tradition is iconic. It stands the test of time. It's cemented forever. Tradition is ours to care for and to carry them forward on for generations to come. Join our newest tradition by supporting Bayou Traditions today.
Bayou Traditions, again, that's the launch. Tyrann Mathieu narrating there. If you're not watching, if you're listening, you heard it there. So LSU getting in on the collecting. By the way, spectacular job. I think Cody Worsham writes those, the scripts, those videos. Cody's obviously very talented, been in media for a long time now, working at LSU. I would assume Cody wrote that. But in LSU's media production arm, over the past 3 years or so, certainly, they've just been incredible. The amount of content they produce, the quality of content they produce is awesome. So really well done there as they announced and launched Bayou Traditions. A couple of things, though, that came out to mind. And we do have our Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day is up on the 104.5 ESPN Twitter feed. I'm curious if, and I really want, that's a lot of reallys. I really want you to give me some feedback here because I'm curious if you plan to contribute. Because part of Bayou Traditions is it enables fans to support the NIL efforts. So you could do a one-time or monthly contributions or in whatever amount you want. So fans can contribute. You don't have to feel like a booster donating millions of dollars. You can contribute whatever you want. So I'm curious if you will contribute. As it says in the release, each level of support unlocks additional benefits for fans, etc. So please go vote in the poll question at 104.5 ESPN on Twitter. There's a few things. First and foremost, this is so important. It is so important to have this now launched and organized. Most recently with the signing date, the early signing period, we talked even further about the involvement of collectives. The most notable story was Florida signee Jaden Rashada, right? Quarterback, 5-star. He reportedly had a $13 million NIL deal through the Gator Collective. Now, apparently, the direct deposit didn't hit, so he asked out of his NIL, or his LOI, his letter of intent, excuse me, and he'll go elsewhere. But, I mean, we've shared some of these numbers publicly. Ole Miss's collective has raised north of $11 million. Auburn's north of $13 million. You have places like Texas Tech and SMU, which are paying every scholarship football player over $20,000. It's incredible the amount of money a lot of these collectives have already raised and are contributing and committing to NIL opportunities for their student athletes in all sports. And LSU was very far behind. And I I understand, and this isn't like it's not a criticism or anything. It's just the reality of it. Like there are certain realities that LSU is going to face that we've talked about since NIL went live. LSU is never going to compete at that level. You're never going to see LSU doling out the types of money that Texas A&M has or some of these other programs that have their cash cows that they can milk for as much as they need. It's been an expensive couple of years in Baton Rouge. You fired Ed Ogeron, paid his staff $20 million to go away. You committed $100 million to Brian Kelly. You committed money to Kim Mulkey, north of $2 million a year. Obviously, Jay Johnson came in. Paul Maneri retired. You had to hire Matt McMahon, give him an 8-year contract. It's been an expensive couple of years. And while LSU has wealthy boosters, maybe the roster isn't as long as other places. So when you keep shaking the same trees, it's tough. And but this is a jolt that LSU needs to catch up. They may never be at that level as some of the others that I mentioned, but the lack of organization has hurt LSU. And now they're finally organized and ready to roll. There was another collective, Go Enterprises, which was operating and was operating inefficiently, and it raised north of $2 million. And we're going to ask, when Brent Cunningham is with us, we're going to ask him about what happens there, because my understanding is that Bayou Traditions will absorb Go Enterprises. But we'll get some clarification on that coming up. But if you remember, I know a lot of people fought back and pushed back on this. When NIL went live last July, or 2 summers ago, a year and a half ago, LSU went to Times Square. They took Olivia Dunn, and they basically had the billboard. It was NILSU and all that sort of stuff. And LSU was, hey, we're open for business. And the thing I said at the time, which is proven to be true, is it doesn't matter if you go to Times Square and do this big we're open for business thing. What they didn't do was organize their boosters and fund their collective. LSU hadn't done that. And it was very disorganized, which is why you needed someone like Gordon McKernan, who stepped up when he did and said, man, forget this. I'm just going to do it myself, which he did. Now, the flip side of that is it's going to be hard, I think, to get a guy like Gordon to stop doing what he's doing, because if I'm Gordon McKernan and I could take my money that I've committed for NIL deals and go do deals directly with the athletes and use it for my advertising, why would I just take the money and put it in a collective and let them decide how it's distributed? That doesn't benefit me, right? Now, I'm not speaking for Gordon, and he and I have not had this conversation, to be very, very clear and candid. But do you understand why it wouldn't make sense for Gordon McKernan to participate in the collective? Because if he goes and throw out a number, $100,000, $500,000. I think he told Jacques Doucet on the record the number was somewhere near like $750,000 he spent. Okay, if I'm Gordon McKernan and I could take that $750,000, would I just put it in the collective and let them decide what to do with it, or spend it how I want to spend it and do deals and put up billboards and do TV ads and radio ads and all that stuff how I want to do it? That's going to be one hurdle. Another obstacle is, and this isn't unique to LSU, this is an obstacle that every school is going to face. And it's the internal competition for those dollars. Here's what I mean. The Tiger Athletic Foundation still exists. TAF is the fundraising arm of LSU athletics. So scholarships, facilities, things that are sports specific, operational support. A lot of coaches' contracts, the salaries aren't paid through the university or the athletic department. They're paid through TAF. When LSU wants to expand Tiger Stadium or build the gymnastics facility or whatever it may be, the fundraising goes through TAF. Well, now TAF and Bayou Traditions, the collective, are adversaries because both are trying to raise money, and they're both going to the same people trying to raise money. So the question is, and this is the unknown, and I don't have the answer. Only time will tell here. Will LSU boosters, and this is why I asked you the question, like, will you contribute? Will LSU donors, fans, boosters, whatever, increase the amount that they're giving, such as to give both to TAF and to Bayou Traditions? Or will they take the same amount of money and split it? And if that's the case, well, then TAF's revenue goes down, or Bayou Traditions doesn't reach a level that they might want to. And that's something that, again, I don't have an answer to. Nobody does. It's really just going to be a matter of waiting to see how this plays out. Now, if you wanted a prediction, my guess is over the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, whatever it may be, you are going to see a lot of the NIL monies scaled back because of what happened at Texas A&M last year. I think more NIL opportunities are going to be committed to retention instead of recruitment. How do we take care of our athletes that are here instead of how do we get athletes here? It's not to say it's going to be true everywhere, and it's not to say that there won't be NIL opportunities for athletes to come to LSU. But I think primarily that's what you will see happen as we move through. But I think it's a fascinating time, and during COVID, so many people use the phrase "we're building the bridge as we cross it." Some people will say we're building the plane as we fly it. That's what NIL feels like in many respects. But when LSU went to New York City and Times Square and did the NIL LSU launch and purported to be at the forefront, the problem was, while yes, they were saying we're open for business, when a lot of people were still pushing back against NIL, the problem is they didn't organize. And now a year and a half later, they're finally organized. That's the good news, is now you get this jolt and you'll start the process of catching up to everybody else to whatever degree that you can. But make no mistake, when I was telling you LSU was behind in NIL, you're now seeing it. They're at least a year and a half behind everybody else as far as fundraising for a collective. Well, the collective is now launched. What can it become? That's going to be a really interesting conversation to watch, to see what type of support it gets, and from both top-level donors and Joe fan like you and me. So, and yeah, it's going to be a big role into the future success of LSU athletics, and we'll follow it here. So LSU launches its new collective, Bayou Traditions. Again, the head of that collective is Brent Cunningham. He'll be here in hour 3. Looking forward to that conversation. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, and go around the SEC. It is a Monday edition of AFR. Don't you move.
AFR.
AFR is so proud to welcome a new partner onto the show here with the Renaissance and the Watermark Hotels, 2 gorgeous properties in Baton Rouge. The Renaissance downtown, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance in Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. If you are having any type of meeting, the Watermark or the Renaissance is perfect to host you. Maybe an elegant wedding downtown at the Watermark, or any type of convention at the Renaissance. They have boardrooms that can conveniently hold 12 people. And they have enough meeting space to hold your event for as many as 500 people, more than 13,000 square feet of meeting space at the Renaissance Hotel. And remember Tallulah, the restaurant inside the Renaissance Hotel. It is casual, upscale dining, and we're going to be there for opening night of LSU baseball. Hopefully you'll come join us there at Tallulah. It's inside of the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. Check it out at the Renaissance Hotel.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
LSU basketball loses again over the weekend, this time to Texas Tech. 76-68. I've lost count. Is that 8 now? 9? It's
I have also lost count.
Let's see. They're 1-7 in conference, right?
Yeah.
So that's 7 straight conference, and then this, so 8. It's up to 8. 8-game losing streak. Here was Matt McMahon after the latest loss.
Disappointing loss for our team. I thought there were certainly some areas that were much improved for our program today. Come out the second half, able to get the lead. Go up by 5 with 9 to play. I believe we held them to 10 points the first 11 minutes of the second half and did a good job from an execution standpoint. But then just some of the attention to detail, had some breakdowns, missed the free throw box out that led to a 3-point play, got us into some foul trouble. And then we weren't able to get stops down the stretch, and we weren't able to knock down shots. So credit to Texas Tech on the win.
And Adam Miller scored 20. You finally got a day where Miller got some shots to fall, which you've really been hoping for. And unfortunately, KJ Williams went cold. And that's not a knock on KJ. He has been maybe the only positive over the bulk of this season. But KJ was 5 of 18 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, 14 points and 9 boards. But, when you expect you expect him to shoot better than 30% from the floor, somewhere 28% from the floor. So keep searching for a win. Let's hope. Let's hope that maybe with Adam Miller having the day he did, 50% from the floor, was 5 of 10 from 3. I'll take that from Adam Miller every single time out if you can get it. But, as a team, the issues that have been prevalent all year followed this team again. They had a beautiful defensive rebound. They had a run out, and you miss a layup. It's that kind of thing where when you have an opportunity to build a lead or grow a lead or cut a lead, They just haven't. So 37% from the floor, 34% from three, as opposed to, Texas Tech, who shot 46% from the floor. It's just not good enough. They're just not. They just don't have the players. I know it sounds like a broken record. Everybody wants to see progress. You want to see the team get better. And this at home felt like a game that you could win against a team mired in its own struggles with an 8-game losing streak, but they had a guy go up for 22, and they were just better. So Tigers will keep searching for a win, try to get off the schneid, but didn't happen on Saturday with what felt like a really good opportunity to break that 7-game losing streak, which is now up to 8. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NFL, and, of course, official sports betting partner of the NBA as well. It's DraftKings. Super Bowl 57 is coming up, so you want to bet on the Super Bowl, of course, you can do that at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and be sure to use the promo code Baton Rouge. That's how you can always unlock great promos and specials as we move throughout the seasons. And look, as we mentioned, hoops action is here. DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, of course, with football taking a hiatus, if you're a new customer, you bet just $5 on an NBA game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers, you can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day this week. So go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You got to opt in, place a same-game parlay on any NBA game. If it doesn't hit, they'll give you a free bet back. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers, bet $5 on an NBA game. They'll give you $200 in free bets, and everybody can take advantage of stepped-up same-game parlays and no-sweat same-game parlays every day this week. So what are you waiting on? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NFL bet up to $10. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. Licensing partner Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Florida Gators.
Florida is expected to hire former offensive coordinator, Auburn offensive coordinator Eric Kiesau in an analyst role. Worked alongside Billy Napier at Alabama back in 2015. Kiesau spent the last 2 seasons at Auburn, following former head coach Brian Harsin from Boise State.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss has added a surprise late addition to its 2023 class. On Monday, wide receiver Lester Miller, committed as a preferred walk-on. But he's a 3-star, 6'2", 165-pounder, number 263 wide receiver in the country. Had offers from San Diego, Akron, Toledo, Arkansas State, Central Arkansas, but says he's going to stay home and walk on for the Bulldogs.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Another blue-chip recruit for the class of 2024 has picked the Gamecocks. 4-star linebacker Wendell Gregory announced his commitment over the weekend. He's South Carolina has the 7th-ranked class now for 2024. Gregory, the number 130 overall player, 12th best linebacker in the country. Had offers from Auburn, Michigan, Tennessee, Southern Cal, and others. 6'2", 217-pounder from Georgia is headed to the Gamecocks. All right, basketball over the weekend. It was the Big 12 SEC Challenge and some surprising scores. Number 2 Alabama got housed in Norman, 93-69, the Sooners. 4th-ranked Tennessee in a battle of top 10s scored a double-digit win over 10th-ranked Texas at home, 82-71. Kansas State bested Florida 64-50. Kansas went into Rupp and won 77-68. 11th-ranked TCU went into the hump. You ain't going in the hump and getting out there alive. Mississippi State 81-74. Missouri beats 12th-ranked Iowa State 78-61. Auburn fell at West Virginia 80-77. Baylor beats Arkansas 67-64. The last game of the SEC Big 12 Challenge was Oklahoma State beating Ole Miss 82-60. The 2 games involving SEC teams that were in conference, Georgia beat South Carolina 81-78. That was in Athens, so Carolina falls to 1-7 in the league. And Texas A&M beats Vanderbilt 72-66 in College Station. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. Louisiana's largest office equipment dealer. You know where to find them. They're at Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com. All right, y'all, really good day, and glad you're hanging out with us here on a Monday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. We're going to knock out a quick break and wrap up hour number 1. In about 15 minutes from right now, Jim Kleinpeter has been covering the LSU women's basketball team, is going to join us. It's a big one. Tigers and Vols tonight from the Maravich Center. White out. They're expecting a sellout as well. So you're talking about it. We're talking about it. That's coming up in about 15 minutes. When we come back, though, certain Heisman Trophy finalist was arrested over the weekend. No, I got thoughts on that. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, been so pleased to tell you about our friends at New Orleans Flooring. You can find them online at nolaflooring.com, 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 but I so highly recommend you get on in. Go see Terrell. Go see Big Sean right there on Airline Highway in Prairieville. You're going south on Airline in Prairieville, past the Walmart, look to the right. You can't miss it. New Orleans Flooring, big blue sign. I've told you that New Orleans Flooring, their differentiators, they cut out the middleman so they can give you great prices. They keep the inventory in stock. Well, right now, they got to make room for the new year's colors and design. So last year's colors right now are all discounted. They got 40,000 square foot of merchandise at $1.79 a foot. If you are thinking about redoing your flooring, this is the time to discover New Orleans Flooring in Metairie and on Airline Highway in Prairieville and at nolaflooring.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Muse, I'm going to get a check on the poll question here in just a second, if you would. The poll question today is LSU launched its new collective and Bayou Traditions, and I'm curious if you will donate. And look, I'll tell you candidly, I have nothing to hide. Chris Burke said, Matt, will you contribute? Asked me via text. No, I will not. I feel like personally, as someone in this position, that is a gigantic conflict of interest for me. I donate. I mean, not that this is necessarily anybody's business but mine, but I don't mind sharing it. I do donate to LSU, namely the Manship School. I'm a very proud alum. I love the Manship School and the work they did, and I feel like my development there personally, professionally, I'm very grateful for it, and I want to pay that forward for future generations. I'm not telling you I give any like large sums of money. I'm not like a huge donor, but when they have fundraising initiatives and drives, I do contribute. But that's my alma mater. That's not the teams and sports that I cover. So no, I won't contribute money to Bayou Traditions. If someday I'm no longer doing this job, then absolutely I will. But as long as I'm doing this job, covering those teams, I feel like that's a gigantic conflict of interest. You may not agree. That's okay. But anyone that chooses to or not to contribute, like there is no right or wrong. I'm not telling you what you should do. I say I always have opinions on the show. You know that. But when it comes to people's money, your money and your time, I will never tell you what you should do with your time or your money or criticize what you do. Say all the time, people who buy tickets, sometimes fans get upset when fans no show or leave early. I don't care. It's your time, your money. I don't want anybody telling me what to do with my time or my money. I'm not going to tell you what to do with yours. I'd be a damn hypocrite if I sat here and said, how dare you leave the game early? How dare you not sell it out? I don't care. If you want to buy a ticket and use it as toilet paper, I don't care. Do with your money what you want. Do with your time what you want. I'm just curious the pulse of the fan base. I like to know what you all are thinking. And I generally feel like I have a good finger on the pulse, and I'm just curious in this new age what people will do. I'm just curious if you plan to contribute. So do you have an update, if you would, Muse?
Yeah, so far 75% say no.
Say no.
Say no, they will not contribute.
And I'll tell you this, if you can get to a point where 25% of your collective fan base contributes, that's significant. I mean, just think of Tiger Stadium. Just think of it in these terms. If you have 100,000 people and 25,000 give $1, $100, whatever, right? That in aggregate becomes a very large number. You don't need 100% participation. I don't think they'll get to 25% of the collective LSU fan base, but you start getting up around like 10%, like double digit, like that actually will write a check, you can generate a large amount of money. But I think that they're going to run into a lot of that. I think like every fan base. I think every fan base looks at rich donors and goes, hey, man, where are rich donors? Hey, bro, you ain't writing a check. What are you doing? Like, don't tell somebody what to do with their money. That's how you always get into sticky scenarios, man. Tell people what to do with their money. So anyway, but it's important. I mean, obviously, NIL collectives, it's all very important, and we're going to follow it. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. So Sunday morning, you would have thought, had you looked at my Twitter feed, my Facebook, Instagram direct messages, my email, like you would have thought that I were related to Stetson Bennett. Like the amount of people that flooded me with links of Stetson Bennett's arrest was almost comical. The show text line, I'm sure it was Muse. I'm sure it's the first thing you thought of when you saw it was what we were going to be talking about.
Actually, it was, yeah.
I have no doubt. I got a text into the show a minute ago that said, I can't believe it was from Scott Shirley. I can't believe it took you this long to get to Stetson. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I'm not going to sit here and celebrate a young guy getting arrested. He's 25 years old, got arrested. Stupid. Like, I'm not going to sit here and take any joy in that. The only thing I'll say is, like, it's not surprising. Look, there's a lot of people that get arrested for doing dumb things while they're drunk. A lot of athletes and celebrities have done that over the years. You have too many, you do something stupid in public, you get arrested. Like, you spend a night in the clink and then you're home. It's embarrassing, and it's nothing more than that. So, but by the grace of God, there go I. Right? I mean, I've been drunk in public plenty of times doing stupid stuff, and if there happened to be a member of law enforcement, could have thrown cuffs on me. So I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here and criticize. My only point is, when I saw this headline, I was in no way surprised, because that's who he is. Were you surprised? That's my question. When you saw that Stetson Bennett had been arrested for public intoxication, were you surprised? And I'm guessing the overwhelming majority of you are going, yeah, not really. And that's why I would never want that guy on my team. As an NFL fan, or if I'm a franchise owner, I don't want that guy on my team, because that's who he is. So, good luck to him. I never cheer against people. Like, I don't want people to fail. Like, I like generally when people succeed in life. There's abundance, and I want that for everyone. I just hope Stetson Bennett matures. That's all. All right, Sports Center coming right at you.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Theantiagingclinics.com for the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. If you want to look and feel like your younger self, you can. Of course, there's great options like Botox or laser hair removal, or maybe it's the vampire facials, or maybe it's something like VeloShape or UltraShape. If you want to just attack those hard to reach areas with diet and exercise where you just can't get into that lower belly fat or your thighs, whatever it may be, VeloShape, UltraShape could be the solution for you. It's at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. But as I always say, no matter your age, no matter if you're a man or a woman, simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. Learn more. theantiagingclinics.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office has launched a full investigation to find out how the WBRZ investigative unit got information pertaining to one of their employees who turned herself in Friday. That employee confessed to stealing tens of thousands of dollars and received special treatment on her way to turn herself in. Tonight, Sheriff Mike Cash trying to find the leak. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioneer Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. From Dallas to L.A. for Kellen Moore. A day after he and the Cowboys mutually agreed to part ways, the Chargers agreed to terms to hire Moore as their new offensive coordinator. After 4 years in Dallas, Moore in a better spot with quarterback Justin Herbert with the Chargers, believes our Chris Canty.
He went to an offense that has more talent and a better quarterback overnight. Overnight. That just tells you the perception around the National Football League is that Kellen Moore wasn't the genesis of the problems going on with the Dallas Cowboys offense.
Canty and Carlin co-host Chris Canty. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes came out of the AFC Championship game win over the Bengals feeling good, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. No structural issues with his high ankle sprain. Plenty of rest from Mahomes early this week, and then he'll be ramping up his activity in preparation for Super Bowl LVII and the Eagles. The NFL has informed its 32 teams the 2023 salary cap will be a record $224.8 million. Hockey Hall of Famer Bobby Hull has died at the age of 84. Hull was named among the 100 greatest NHL players of all time in 2017.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Bottom of this hour, we're going to talk to Fritz Mitchell. He's the director of a new 7-part series for SEC Storied on the history of SEC basketball. Looking forward to that. And Brent Cunningham, 1 hour from right now. He's the new head of the LSU Collective. And we're looking forward to Bayou Traditions is what it's called. And we're looking forward to that conversation as well. So, what a night it's going to be tonight out at the PMAC. The LSU women's basketball team is going to host the Tennessee Vols, and it's going to be a whiteout there at the Maravich Center, encouraging everybody that goes to wear white. There will be a white shirt on everybody's seat. Pretty cool time-lapse video that LSU has posted. Our buddy Jim Kleinpeter, who's covered LSU forever, is good enough to join us, talk about the games. He's been on the LSU Lady Tigers beat. How are you, Jim?
Doing great, Matt.
Hey, we appreciate a couple of minutes here today, man. Can you put some context on this? Look, you've covered LSU for, 30 years plus maybe, and were around for those 5 straight Final Fours that the Lady Tigers went to back in the 2000s. How does tonight maybe compare to some of those great nights as far as anticipation and build-up?
Well, the anticipation for sure, because it's been so long since they've been in playing the games like this, and they didn't play a lot of them last year. The South Carolina game at home was quite a big contest, but this is really the first one that they've had this year. A weak non-conference schedule, and I think you probably heard Kim Mulkey's explanations for that. But this is a very good team you can kind of throw that week schedule out. It's a very talented team, and it's going to have more nights like this. Actually, I think it's because the SEC is down overall in women's basketball this year. They've lost a lot of great players since last year. But this is the first real showstopper you'll see. It should be pretty raucous tonight.
Jim, you mentioned the SEC being down. Did I saw this correctly, right? In the poll today, there's only LSU and South Carolina are the only 2 ranked teams in the poll, correct?
Yeah, that's it. And Tennessee would be there if they're on the complete opposite of LSU. Their preseason, pre-conference schedule was ridiculously tough, almost too tough, too much to expect. But if it makes them a good team, you get into the tournament, they'll probably get some respect when it comes to seeding. So, it's just that the SEC lost a lot of players. Some of them stayed in the SEC. Rickea Jackson, for instance, left Mississippi State, and if she had stayed, they'd probably be ranked.
Yeah. So LSU, of course, is ranked 3rd, and South Carolina ranked number 1. They'll get to that order of business in a bit. But first, of course, LSU and Tennessee tonight at the Maravich Center. Jim, what maybe has been with this LSU team the biggest improvement from a year ago to now?
It's pretty easy, actually. They have posts that can score, and they had very average posts last year and years before that. And Kim likes to throw it inside first. But LaDasia Williams would have been the best post on their team last year, and she's second to Angel Reese. But those 2 ladies can score, and then they bring a freshman off the bench who goes in, blocks shots, and gets rebounds. So they are that. Last year they were a perimeter team with Kayla Pointer, and get down to the end of the game, they would just give it to her and let her penetrate and try to either score or dish. So that's the biggest difference. They still got perimeter players, but they throw it inside a lot. And with Angel Reese, I mean, you don't really, the perimeter just has much less of a workload.
Yeah. Jim Kleinpeter is with us covering the LSU women's basketball team. Big game tonight against Tennessee at the Maravich Center. They're expecting a sellout, a standing room only crowd. It is a whiteout. It's a 6 o'clock tip-off. You mentioned Angel Reese, and she's been obviously just a huge story, not only locally but nationally this year. And she, of course, broke Sylvia Fowles' record for consecutive games with a double-double. Do you see comps in their game, Jim?
I don't know. Sylvia, I remember her as being powerful, almost like Shaq was. There just weren't any girls that could really muscle her very much. And Angel is much more she's swift and quick. She's just so fast with her hands and her feet. You just watch her, and the ball goes up. If she misses a shot, she gets her own rebounds most of the time, and sometimes she'll miss twice and still get the ball. She gets to the ball quicker. She goes over people. She's agile. I don't. It's not a perfect comparison, but Sylvia was just hard to stop once she got the ball, and I just don't think there were that many people who could match up to her. But she was more power, and I think Angel's more finesse.
Anybody on Tennessee's team that might be able to give Angel Reese trouble?
No, the one that would have, Tamari Key, is out for the season. She had blood clots in her lungs, and I don't. I mean, Rickea Jackson. She's an offensive player. I don't know that she's the defender that you'd want to put on Angel. So because you don't always want your best offensive player. But Jordan Horston might be somebody that they try. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Tennessee. Mm-hmm. They've got the usual Tennessee team. Seems like they always have 5 players over 6 feet. I think 4 of their starters are like 6'1" or better. So. They may rotate people on her because she'll get people in foul trouble. She gets a lot of and ones. Just way more than her share.
Anything else as far as a matchup tonight in particular worth keeping an eye on, Jim, that you think could be pivotal in this game?
Well, LSU's outside shooting is starting to come around. Jasmine Carson she came in with the gunner reputation, and she's kind of been up and down. She's had some really big games. She's had some really games where she just didn't really give them anything. But she's playing better on both ends. She's playing better defensively, and I think that's kind of helped her. game, if LSU's perimeter game is on, Tennessee won't be in the game much. But as far as a matchup, it might be a little more difficult because, like I said, Tennessee has bigs that can move, and they're gonna having 6 foot people, on the perimeter may slow down LSU's outside game too.
Jim, before you go, I get asked this often, so I'm sure you do as well. Is this version of LSU's women's basketball program, is this team capable of winning a national championship?
You know what? I think about this a lot now because of how good they are, and now they're one of 2 undefeated teams in the country. I don't think this is their year, but next year will be. And they're a Final Four team next year. If the players who are expected to come back with this recruiting class they've got, they are a Final Four team this next year for sure, and maybe a national champion. This year's team can make the Final Four. I don't think. I mean, South Carolina is just so much better, and I think we'll see that when they play in a couple of weeks. LSU will be in that game like they were last year. I just don't know if they can get past a team that has that much experience and that much talent.
He is Jim Kleinpeter covering the LSU women's basketball team there for The Advocate. Jim, enjoy the game tonight. We always appreciate a couple minutes. It's good to catch up, man.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
All right, that's our pleasure. Jim Kleinpeter has covered LSU in so many capacities for a lot of different outlets over the years. We always appreciate when we get a couple of minutes with Jim. So LSU and Tennessee, I'll tell you, it is a very, very clear sign of changing of the times or whatever you want. But, they're not just a good story anymore. When I can have Jim on to actually talk about the game and not just glowing over a record or the result or something like that, I mean, they're starting to set their hooks, this program. And anyone who's around when they went to 5 straight Final Fours, remember what that was like around here. And it's getting that feeling again. I've always said if it's purple and gold, and it wins, people in this town will support it. And this LSU women's basketball team is there. And I think you're going to have a great environment tonight at the Maravich Center. 6 o'clock tip. It's on ESPN 2. If you're in the greater Baton Rouge area, you can listen on Talk 107.3 FM. That's 107.3 FM. It's our sister station. Or if you can find a way to get a ticket, it's supposed to be a standing room only crowd. So enjoy it tonight. Make it loud. Tigers and Vols at 6 o'clock. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Bottom of this hour, we'll talk a little more basketball. Fritz Mitchell is going to join us, a director of a new 7-part series that's coming, chronicling the history of SEC basketball. It's part of the SEC Storied series on the SEC Network. It premieres tonight. We'll talk about that with the director here in about 15 minutes from right now. When we come back, wait until you hear who's stumping for Sean Payton to get a head coaching job. You'll hear from him next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. All right, Muse, hit me with the jingle, bro. Let's go. You got to feel good when you can get a little Get Gordon. Let it move a little bit. Let it vibe through your body. You like to dance? Like the jingle? Like $2,500? Yeah. Easy. Post a video of yourself doing whatever interpretation of a dance you want to the Gordon McKernan jingle. Hey, you're running out of time. Tomorrow's the last day. You've been putting it off. Get on it. Go to any of the social medias at Get Gordon on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Get Gordon. You can see all the rules, how you can enter. Win up to $2,500 just for dancing to the jingle. Better do it. And if you've been injured in an accident, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
It's the 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver, where you could win $50,000 cash if your name is drawn from the pot and you've correctly guessed the final score of the game. We'll also be selecting a guaranteed local winner. The 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest is presented by Heineken Silver. All the taste, no bitter endings. Get your score guesses in now at 1045ESPN.com.
What?
Yeah.
You got to pick the right score?
Got to pick the correct final score of the big game.
Of the big game. The big game tonight at the Maravich Center?
No. Different big game.
Another big game?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's the 57th big game.
Well, there's lots of big games.
Yeah. This is the big game that happens every year in February since the merger, the NFL merger, or
you can't say NFL.
Yeah, the
screwed it up.
I did.
Yep.
The well-known football league in this country.
Fine incoming.
Yeah.
You're Muse. I don't think I can protect you, man. Like fine incoming. The bosses here aren't gonna. I don't think you're gonna spare you for that one. I can't jump in front of that bullet for you. I got a family. Sorry.
I respect that.
You did it. You did it to you. You did it to you, Muse. The big game.
Big game on February 12th.
Not the big game in Orlando coming up in September.
Not that one, no.
Not that one, okay.
Not that one.
The big game. So stupid. The big game. The bowl.
The big bowl.
The big bowl.
Some might even call it super.
The Grande Basin. Jeez, stupid. Anyway, all right, whatever. So how do people enter that again? What do you do?
You go to 1045ESPN.com.
Oh, it's at our website. Okay, good. Go to the website. You can enter to win a lot of money if you correctly predict the score of the big game between the teams from Philadelphia and Kansas City.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's after further review. We have been keeping you up to date as best we can on Payton Watch. Muse. I mean, it's on the rundown, Muse. Come on, Muse. It's on the rundown. All right. So we've been keeping you up to date, and if you have not heard the latest today, I don't think that the Houston Texans have announced this yet, but it appears as though that DeMeco Ryans, the 49ers defensive coordinator, it has not been formally announced, but it appears as though, from all accounts, that DeMeco Ryans is poised to become the head coach of the Houston Texans. Again, not formally done yet, but that's what it's looking like will happen. So if you're scoring at home, of course, you had 5 coaching openings, and if Frank Reich has taken the job in Carolina, it appears that DeMeco Ryans is going to take the job in Houston, which means Denver and Kansas City, most notably, would Kansas City and Arizona, most notably, would remain open. Enter Larry Fitzgerald, Hall of Fame wide receiver, great former Arizona Cardinal. He was a guest on Arizona Sports' Bickley and Marotta radio show and stumped for Sean Payton.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, if you really want to build the foundation for success for a very long time, I mean, Sean Payton has done that for quite a while in New Orleans and years before then. He's a franchise-changing aspect, right? And yeah, he's going to be expensive, but like if you're trying to change, the conversation, he's the guy that has the ability to do that. I mean, Drew Brees turned himself into a Hall of Famer, but under the tutelage of Sean Payton, right? In terms of him drafting great, talented players, not only drafting them but developing them, right? You hear a lot of people talk about Sean Payton, his ability to develop talent. Guys that you haven't heard of from smaller schools, being able to develop coaches. So he checks a lot of boxes. When you're talking about somebody who can change the fortunes of an organization.
So, Larry Fitzgerald stumping for Sean Payton to Arizona. However, Adam Schefter was a guest on the Pat McAfee show and essentially said, yeah, that's not happening.
Arizona reached out this morning to Lou Anarumo, so that would tell you that they probably don't believe that they're going to be in a position to close on Sean Payton because they wouldn't be making other calls and reaching out to other candidates at this point in time if that were the case. Now, where they wind up, I don't know.
Now, there is a longer clip, about a minute and a half clip, on from Schefter talking about the Broncos head coaching search. So maybe that could be the spot. We'll see. For whatever it's worth, Sean Payton on Sunday, the NFL on Fox, the pregame show, did kind of give a timeline and sort of said, like, it's coming soon that they'll have some finality here.
It's been a busy week, a great week. We've had a chance to visit with a lot of great owners, a lot of outstanding organizations. They're obviously looking for a reboot. I think with the way the coaching hiring process has changed this year, we're seeing it play out a little longer for these clubs. And I think there's more pressure on everyone who's covering it. And I think it's a good thing because they're allowing teams to get to the right candidates. I think in the next week, we're going to know a lot more.
In the next week, we'll know a lot more. And my interpretation there is that you had to wait for San Francisco's season to end because DeMeco Ryans had become sort of the favorite at 2 places, Denver and Houston. So you had to wait for the 49ers season to end to see where DeMeco Ryans was going to end up to then see if Sean Payton might end up at the other place. Now, Schefter seemed pretty adamant there that Sean Payton wasn't going to be a candidate in Arizona. Okay. Is Denver still in play if DeMeco Ryans goes to Houston, as it appears he will? I'll remind you that was the prediction that Randy Mueller made on this show a couple of weeks ago. That's been the feeling a lot of people have had, is that Denver would be the best fit. An ownership group, the wealthiest ownership group in the NFL, looking to make a splash. You invested so much into Russell Wilson a year ago. Get him the right head coach. There's a lot of reasons that makes sense. And we now know what that first-round pick is because Denver, via the Bradley Chubb trade to Miami via San Francisco, has a first-rounder that they could send theoretically to New Orleans. It would be the 49ers pick, which we now know is slot in with their loss yesterday. So see if they can get something done. I'll reiterate where my stance is. I want Sean Payton to coach next year. I know there's some of you who are taking a very tactical approach, which is interesting to say, hey, if Payton goes back and is at Fox for another year and the Saints stink for another year, maybe you get Sean Payton back. Maybe, but if you're looking at like probability charts, that feels like less of a certainty or less of a possibility than Sean Payton going and coaching this year and the Saints recouping a first-round pick for Payton or some type of draft capital for Sean Payton, which is really what I want to see. Of course, I'd love to see Sean Payton back, but there's no guarantee that the Saints would move on from Dennis Allen next year after the season. There's no telling what that season would even look like. And I think what I also understand when we look at the salary cap and what's happening right now in the NFL, if you missed it today, the NFL did set the salary cap at north of $220 million. The Saints need help against the cap, and the only way they actually get that and move toward winning is by hitting on draft picks and to have a roster made up of talented players on rookie deals. That's what they did in 2017. You all know the list from Marshawn Lattimore and Ryan Ramczyk and Alvin Kamara and Trey Hendrickson, and Marcus Williams, all those players that were on rookie contracts and became the core of your team. Like, that's how you were able to do it, to get out of the cap hell, because you had affordable star players. But once they all are coming to their second contracts, then you had to make decisions, and clearly the Saints have picked wrong. I mean, you're seeing guys like Boston Scott, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and Trey Hendrickson, Von Bell, make impactful, plays and impactful moments here for their new teams, while the Saints sunk a lot of money into Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, and they brought back, Malcolm Jenkins, and they've just, the Saints have made a lot of bad personnel decisions. They've drafted well. They haven't chosen well on the second round of contracts. So now you got to go draft well again. So give me more draft capital. That's what I'm hoping happens here. But it, again, appears as though with the latest around Sean Payton that Denver might be the final opportunity, unless if, as we saw from Diana Rossini a week ago, there's some mystery team that jumps into the sweepstakes late. But we'll just keep following it. All right. It's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here every Monday on AFR. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Fritz Mitchell. He is the director of a new 7-part SEC storied series. He's the guy that did the SEC football 150-year anniversary series 3 years ago. He's now done a 7-part series chronicling the history of SEC basketball, which premieres tonight. We'll talk to Fritz Mitchell when we come back on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Boy, how about all of that rain yesterday? It's going to bring in some colder weather, and you might think, man, I'm going to wait till it warms up a little before I get to plant. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just plant something. There are so many flowers and shrubs and plants and trees that love this cool weather. So get them by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know where that one is. If you're leaving Central heading toward Baton Rouge, like you pass the Welcome to Central sign, and it's, boom, on your right there. You can't miss it. It's Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 locations. They have truckloads and shipments of plants and trees and shrubs arriving daily, so they've got the best selection, the best prices, and the friendliest, most helpful staff. It's at Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of their 4 locations. Remember, they're also partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And After Further Review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here. A lot of people enjoyed some 3 years ago the SEC storied documentary, which was 12 and a half hours of footage chronicling the history of SEC football for the 150th anniversary of college football. Well, Fritz Mitchell, who is the director of that series, is back with a 7-part documentary, Southern Hoops, A History of SEC Basketball, which premieres tonight at 8 o'clock Central on the SEC Network, and Fritz Mitchell is good enough to join us on the show. Fritz, we appreciate the time. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing very well. We got to speak back when Saturdays in the South debuted some 3 years ago or so. Does this feel like Christmas morning for you when one of your babies makes it to the screen and it's debut day?
No, there's just a sigh of relief that it's finally going to air. I've seen the show so many times that I don't even tend to watch the night of because you're reviewing and combing over, fact checking, et cetera. So I'm really worried about getting shows 6 and 7 done, not so much about one airing tonight.
Wait, so for those that don't know, as we mentioned, it's going to be a 7-part series. So 1 through 5 are finished, 6 and 7 aren't done yet?
Right. 6 is almost done, and 7 probably has bits and pieces done.
Do you feel how much pressure do you feel right now to make sure those are done by deadline?
Lots of pressure because the 7th show was an add-on. It was going to be a 6-show series, and we all decided, ESPN and the SEC, that a 7th show was needed. There just wasn't enough time. They asked me, do you think you can get it done? I said, yes. It'll be tight, but we'll get it done.
Oh, I love it. I remember chatting, I guess it's been about 3 years now since Saturdays in the South debuted, and that was celebrating the 150th anniversary of college football.
Right.
Did that series inspire this one?
I think so. I mean, there's a long-standing belief sometimes that people aren't interested in history. But if you put history on the air and it's well done and people are engaged and they feel like they're learning something, they're informed or going over old material that they love, that people will come and watch. And so I think the Saturdays in the South was, met with, a sense of anticipation and excitement, and people did enjoy it. And so it was almost a no-brainer to do the basketball one.
Yeah, Saturdays in the South was a great achievement. I know me and my family enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward. So when we had the opportunity to talk to you about this project, Southern Hoops, a history of SEC basketball, I jumped at the opportunity. So let's go back then. What did you know about SEC hoops when you began this project?
Well, I had a little bit of a leg up on Kentucky, fortunately, because, they are to SEC basketball what Alabama has been to football. I had done a series in 2002 called Bluegrass Basketball. It was following Kentucky high school basketball, the theme being that it was the last state that still had the one-class tournament where all schools, big and small, public and private, compete against one another. Indiana had given up on that in 1997. So it was sort of, it's what everybody knows to be the Hoosiers movie, that David can knock off Goliath. And, of course, that's what the NCAA tournament is kind of founded on, Cinderellas and David and Goliath, and that's what brings so much excitement to the tournament. So I had done that high school series, and really, I don't know Kentucky basketball the way Kentuckians do, but I really had a leg up in understanding the mentality and the psyche and the ingredients to why basketball became so special in the state, or the Commonwealth, as they refer to it as.
Fritz Mitchell is our guest. Southern Hoops, a history of SEC basketball. It premieres tonight on the SEC Network, 8 o'clock Central. And as we mentioned, there are 7 episodes. So Kentucky would obviously be a cornerstone for many reasons, which our audience would know. LSU basketball is interesting, Fritz, because while it hasn't had long periods of sustained success, the highs have been really high. So how does LSU factor into the series?
Well, it's interesting because, the fear was that Kentucky was going to dominate this series so much. And in fact, I think LSU might have equal airtime, if not more. We do stories on Bob Pettit, Pete Maravich, Rudy Macklin, Dale Brown, of course, the ladies team, the women's team making it to 5 straight Final Fours in the 2000s. And we do a nice story on, the family, the Temple family, Garrett, Collis, and Collis Sr., 3 generations of men who, 1, got rejected by LSU, 2, Collis was the trailblazer, the first African-American, and 3, Garrett, who got to reap the rewards of the sacrifices made by previous generations.
That's really, it is a phenomenal story. And of course, as we all know, Garrett, part of that 06 Final Four team, and the Temples remain very prominent in this area. So you did mention also that you had enough, it was going to be 6, and then ultimately pushed for the 7th part of the series. How much was cut out? Assuming, like, if you could have put it all in there, how many more installments could you have had?
Oh, you could do much like football. I think we had 12 hours. Here we have 7. You could, with the material I have, we probably could have done 8 or 9. If you went out and gathered more material, you could certainly do 10. I think 7 feels right. I forgot to mention, we also did a nice story on Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Chris Jackson.
Of course.
Which, to me, that story, in a way, was more interesting than maybe Shaquille O'Neal, just because the story itself. And that's the last story in episode 4. And we spend it good. He was just such a forthcoming interview, and so genuine and authentic and compelling that we ended up spending more time on him than some of the others.
Is there if I asked you maybe what was the most interesting or memorable thing you learned that you didn't know when you started this project, and the thing that first just comes to your mind? What would you say?
Oh, probably the story of women's basketball. I mean, I knew the story, I knew the skeleton of it, but I really didn't know the deep dive of it. The struggles of the early women pioneers to go on cookie sales and donut sales to raise money and just trying to get people into the arena. The grassroots efforts, Andy Landers at Georgia talked about, painting the locker room, which really wasn't a locker room. It was more like a bathroom in red and black. And so I think mostly about the women's game, although I always try and find a story within a story that I didn't know. For instance, Charles Barkley talks about going to the local grocery store and stealing goods as a youth and almost getting caught and being scared to death, and that sort of turning his life around. I mean, we all know Charles Barkley to be the great humorist and great personality on these halftime and pregame shows, and certainly he was a fantastic pro and a great player at Auburn. But it's the little stories you find along the way that kind of illuminate and they're fun.
Fritz Mitchell, before you go, tonight episode 1, or part 1 I should say, is going to debut. Naismith to Rupp, 1930 to 1959. What are people going to experience tonight? What can they expect?
I think that the first 30 years of SEC basketball, 40 years even, are dominated by Adolph Rupp, and it's unavoidable. That he came into a league where assistant football coaches flipped a coin to see who would have to coach the basketball team, and Rupp put it on the map. He made Kentucky basketball personal for people in the state, gave it great joy, gave it great pride, a state which had been put upon by stereotypes and things like that. Hatfield versus McCoy type stereotypes, and gave them a sense of something to be proud of. Taking them to the NIT tournament in 46, winning championships in 48 and 49, and then again in 51. And so basketball became something they could embrace. And there are other stories in there. I mentioned we have a Pat Summitt bio piece. We go back to her hometown. We do a story on Bob Pettit, the Rocket 8 of Alabama in the mid-50s. But by and large, the early years of the SEC are dominated by Rupp.
He is Fritz Mitchell, director of Southern Hoops, a history of SEC basketball. It's a 7-part series, which will debut with part 1 tonight on the SEC Network as part of the SEC Storied Series. 8 o'clock Central Time. Be tuned in, set the DVR, check it on demand, and all those places. Fritz, it's always our pleasure. Thanks so much. We'll look forward to the SEC baseball docuseries coming up in another 3 years or so.
Oh, my goodness. You're terrifying me. But thank you very much, Matt, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it is our pleasure. That's Fritz Mitchell. It's After Further Review, brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge online at southpointvw.com. You always get to the website, search year, make, model, body style, or price. It's all there for you at South Point Volkswagen. You can search their new inventory or their certified pre-owned. Remember, if you're shopping the used car lot, it's cool. You can do that. Make sure you shop South Point Volkswagen as well. They're the largest volume Volkswagen dealer in the state, so when they sell a new car, generally someone's trading in an old car. So all different makes and models, not just Volkswagens. They got them at South Point Volkswagen. Online at southpointvw.com. Get on by and test drive one today, or you can do the whole process online. You can even work out your financing online. If you don't ever want to go into a dealership, you don't have to, but they're great over at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, Muso will have Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2. And in a little more than 15 minutes from right now, Brent Cunningham is going to be with us. Brent Cunningham is the new head of the LSU Collective. Bayou Traditions is the name of it. So LSU has finally launched its official NIL Collective, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, the goings-on, what the expectations are, how it's going to work, how it's structured, how people can get involved that want to. We'll get into all that coming up here in a little more than 15 minutes from right now. Glad you're hanging out with us here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Don't you move.
AFR.
All right, y'all, we are creeping through carnival season. It is not too late. If you want to get that king cake, you can do so at Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. They've been great partners and friends of ours here on AFR. If you want to get that king cake, you can get by any of the Rouse's locations, or you can ship that king cake at rouses.com. Easy. Go to the website. I mean, you'll see it right there on the homepage. Just tap rouses.com, hit the king cake tab. You'll see all of your options that pop up. If it's the black and gold king cake, the traditional king cake, they even have what they call the parade package. If you want like beads and doubloons and all that sort of stuff, you can get that as well. To that family member or friend, relative who lives out of state and wants a little taste of home, or if you got a client somewhere around the country, send them a little taste of Louisiana courtesy of Rouse's. Go to rouses.com, hit the king cake tab, and ship those king cakes all over the country at rouses.com. Remember, we'll be at Rouse's in Denham for the opening of LSU baseball season. We'll see you there at Rouse's.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Start your day with news and newsmakers.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Remember, you can always email us, Matt at 1045ESPN.com. You can always tweet the show at Matt Moscona. You can.
Hey, Twitter world.
Thank you, Juice. You can jump with the Body Forward YouTube chat and the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel or text in the 225 at 396-4400, 396-4400. That's what Lane Boudreaux did when he said, Muse messed up again at exactly 4:20. How about that, Muse?
When was that? What was that? What did I do?
Oh, have you already forgotten?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
Oh, you that spaced out already?
Yeah, was it the Payton watch thing?
Gummies hitting good?
No.
Brownies?
No. I mean, that's, almost
shrooms.
Almost 30 minutes ago. Lots happened since then.
Yeah.
We had a good interview there with Fritzy Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't go by Fritzy.
He's Fritzy.
He doesn't go by Fritzy.
He should, though. I like Fritzy. Fritz Mitchell. Fritz
Baseball
Mitchell.
guy. Everything's got to end in a Y. That's right. No, yeah, it was the Payton watch thing. We're talking about
Okay.
Sean Payton. It was Payton watch, one of the drop. That was apparently right at 4:20. So it actually very appropriate. Very appropriate. Yeah.
Good
Paulie,
catch there, Lane, I guess. Good catch.
You surprised there, Paulie? I'm not. Are you?
Not really.
Yeah, not really surprised. What's he been doing over there, Paulie?
Whole lot of nothing.
That's
yeah.
not true.
What's that?
So that's not true.
Well, You can always text us in the 225-396-4400. Feel free to get your comments in like Lane Boudreaux did. There was this one from John that said, Matt, I missed the first 40 minutes of your program. Does anyone call it a program?
I don't
think
Well, I mean, he does.
My grandfather might call it a program. I enjoy your program. Anyway, but thank you, John, for listening. He said, are you or did you mention the horrific call by officials during the Bengals game? The do-over on third downs, etc. Yeah, we might have mentioned something about it, John. How do you feel about it, Muse?
I've never seen that before, where you just get a down back. But
just in general, the officiating on the game.
Oh, it wasn't good. I mean, they weren't good.
I have seen that before. Remember on Missouri? Was it Missouri, Nebraska?
Oh, fifth down, right?
Fifth
Huh?
down?
Yeah, the fifth down.
That was the first year ever that you could actually spike the ball. The officiating crew didn't. The down marker guy, you spiked it in. Yeah. Coincidentally, in the state of Missouri.
How about that? Maybe it's
There it
something,
is. Maybe.
just something in the water there, man.
Yeah, maybe just absent-minded officiating. But that's also not why the Bengals lost the game.
No, they actually got a stop on that drive.
They did. They got a stop. Yes, they did. Someone actually said to me last night on Twitter, but the second Burrow interception didn't matter. It was like a punt. Like, okay, well, hold on. It was like 3rd and 3. How about get the first down and then continue driving instead of turning the ball over and giving away possession? It all matters. Of course it all matters. Play better. It's that simple. Like, if you're blaming officials, it's because you're a loser. So don't blame officials for a loss. Just play better. All right, it's after further review. Muso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Alrighty there. So, yeah, Super Bowl is set. It'll be Kansas City. It will be Philadelphia. Shout out to Clyde, man. Clyde, he's inactive right now, but going...
Calici.
There we go. Going to his second Super Bowl in 3 years. He fell short, obviously, in 2020 to the Buccaneers. See if you grab this one here in 2022.
Is he the only former Tiger that's going to be in the Super Bowl?
He is, because the Philadelphia Eagles don't have any former LSU Tigers on their team. Yeah, so again, root against the Philadelphia Eagles. Joe Burrow last night, 26 completions on 41 attempts for 270 yards, 1 touchdown, the aforementioned 2 interceptions in the game. He was also sacked 5 times. Joey B, the leading rusher last night for Cincinnati with 30 yards on 4 carries. That ain't ever good when your quarterback's the leading rusher. Well, when he's not a dual threat quarterback. Let me put it that way. Jamar Chase in the game, 6 receptions, 75 yards, a long of 35. Those 6 receptions came off of 8 targets. Their season now over. Because the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, none of their 8 Pro Bowlers will be participating in the Pro Bowl game, so you have to find replacements. One former Tiger found himself as a replacement. That is Vikings edge rusher Danielle Hunter.
Hey,
this marks the 3rd Pro Bowl appearance now in Danielle Hunter's career, joining the 2018 season and the 2019 season. For this year, Hunter 65 tackles, 10.5 sacks, and 12 tackles for a loss.
Howdy, babe.
NBA action set for tonight. The Nets will host the Lakers. Ben Simmons takes to the floor, averaging 7, 6, and 6 for the Nets. Cam Thomas takes to the floor, averaging 6 points a game. The Timberwolves, they will be on the floor tonight. They host the Sacramento Queens. Nas Reed.
Oh, why'd you do that, bro?
Because it's funny. I liked when Shaq did that, man. That was awesome.
It's been a long time, though.
It was, but that was good. And they were actually really good then. Like, that was, Lakers, Sacramento. That was a bit of a budding rivalry there. Nas Reed, though, 44 games played. He's averaging 10 points and 5 boards on the night. And then Trendon Watford will be on the floor as the Portland Trail Blazers. They host the Atlanta Hawks. Watford averaging 5 and 3 for Portland. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. That's LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box. Of course, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Don't screw it up, guys. Get by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. If you're thinking of popping the question, nobody has a better selection of the highest quality diamonds at the best price, where you always get, of course, the Lee Michaels experience. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, it's after further review. Put a button here on hour number 2, presented by Relief Windows. When we come back, right after the top of the hour, let's get you caught up on national headlines from SportsCenter. And when we come back, Brent Cunningham is going to join us. He is the head of Bayou Traditions. That is LSU's collective, which was announced today. What headway is LSU making in NIL? We'll talk about it with Brent Cunningham right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. I always love telling you about Michelli. Looking forward to baseball season. Of course, Joel McMullen, president, CEO over at Michelli. His son, Sean McMullen, former LSU baseball player, does great work with Michelli as well. Might actually be calling on you if you're a client. You could tell stories about the days they went to Omaha back in the early aughts, as it might be. Or I guess the early 10s. The aughts would be the 2000s, from 2000 to 2010. Anyway, you get it. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelli.com. Highly, highly, highly recommend that if you weigh or measure something in your business, that you go to the website, Michelli.com. Michelli, Michelli.com. Most people know Michelli for their scales. They're our nation's largest distributor of scales, but they do so much more. When it comes to precision measurement devices, their calibration labs are unmatched. They even have mobile on-site labs. Learn more online at Michelli.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office has launched a full investigation to find out how the WBRZ investigative unit got information pertaining to one of their employees who turned herself in Friday. That employee confessed to stealing tens of thousands of dollars and received special treatment on her way to turn herself in. Tonight, Sheriff Mike Cash trying to find the leak. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility. moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ATEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has a torn UCL, which will sideline him 6 months, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. Purdy is seeking second medical opinions about whether he needs surgery. The Niners are recommending it, but no decisions yet. The Chargers' new offensive coordinator is the Cowboys' former offensive coordinator. LA's agreed to terms to hire Kellen Moore as their OC. Moore should help the Chargers' offense be more consistent, believes ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky.
I think this is a great move for the Chargers when it comes to, Amina hit on it, the aggressiveness of pushing the ball downfield. This will become two things for the Dallas Cowboys. Number one, Mike McCarthy, it's on your shoulders to get Dak playing at a high level again. And two, if you don't hire an offensive coordinator, Dan Quinn will be the head coach by middle of the season.
Dan Orlovsky on NFL Live. Quinn, of course, is currently Dallas's defensive coordinator. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes came out of the AFC Championship game win over the Bengals feeling good. No structural issue with his high ankle sprain, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Mahomes will rest early this week, then ramp up his activity for Super Bowl LVII against the Eagles.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. If you're watching live on YouTube, thank you. Please smash that like button. Thanks to all of our viewers as well on WBTR in Baton Rouge. If you're on Cox, that's Cable 19, Rev 144, and if you're a cord cutter, 36.1 on the antenna. And, of course, all of our radio listeners as well. LSU, exciting day. Exciting day. LSU announced formally the organization and launch of Bayou Traditions, which is the official LSU collective. The president of Bayou Traditions is Brent Cunningham, who's going to have to join us for a couple of minutes here. Brent, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Good. Great day.
Man,
glad y'all got me on today.
Man, I would imagine today's got to feel like a good day when there's a lot of work done to get to this point and to officially have it launched. How much went into this day?
You know, a lot of it went into it before I even came on the scenes. I've been involved really for the past month as far as build out and forming how this collective will run and be structured. But yeah, as you all are aware, NIL's been alive and well at LSU for a long time. So we're excited to build it out even bigger and better.
So that's a good, and there's sort of a housekeeping question because there was a previous entity, which was Go Enterprises, that a lot of people knew of. So is Bayou Traditions absorbing Go Enterprises, or did that just dissolve?
So it's a build out of Go Enterprises. So it's all the same people involved. that were behind Go Enterprises. They're a big part of what we're still doing now with Bayou Traditions as the public-facing image of it all. And but it's one and the same.
Okay. So you also mentioned structure, and I think this is one of the more interesting things, right? Is you're a fundraising arm, and you're there to positively affect opportunities for student athletes. What was the approach when you started to structure how this thing was going to be built?
You know, there's collectives all around the country that are structured very differently.
Right.
Ours, the approach that we took was a membership subscription-based model, something that, you know, supporters are fairly used to seeing from a philanthropic standpoint through TAF, right? So TAF, of course, is still the philanthropic branch and arm of the university, and the only way to secure priority points and tickets is to still work through TAF. But as far as a model that's easy to understand, we've got different levels of giving depending on how engaged our fans and supporters want to be. Different levels of benefits that they can receive as part of their participation with our collective. So, you know, I think you're going to see a lot of support in the LSU community for it.
Yeah, I think, and Brent Cunningham is with us, the president of Bayou Traditions, the LSU Collective, which launched today. But by the way, the website is BayouTraditionsCollective.com. If you want to learn more, BayouTraditionsCollective.com. You just talked about TAF, and I think that's one of the very obvious questions a lot of people ask. I've gotten that question a bunch today. Well, it's like, well, TAF and Bayou Traditions are separate, so how do you know or determine who to give to and give what? I would imagine that's something that you all are going to kind of have to weed through at this point.
Yeah, and if you're a supporter of TAF or a season ticket holder, I want to say you should have an email in your inbox now that outlines a lot of the differences as far as giving to TAF and participating in the collective. So I, as a TAF member myself, have gotten that email, and it's just two different models, two different ways to still impact the overall student-athlete experience at LSU.
What's been the response? It's been less than a day, obviously. What's been the response?
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, it's gotten obviously a lot of local attention, national attention as well. My day's been filled with media obligations, and we've got a big inbox right now. So if you've emailed us, I will be getting back to you soon. But it's, as you would imagine, a big launch day.
Brent, we've talked a lot about some of the other collectives, namely around the SEC, that have done some very high-profile NIL deals, and now here we are, a year and a half after the launch of NIL, and LSU is just formally launching this collective. Do you feel like LSU is behind and has ground to make up?
Not one bit. You know, what was in place with Go Enterprises was very successful and has been successful, and is really the foundation of what we're doing. And this NIL industry, if you're not growing and evolving, you're going to be left behind. And LSU already, just even behind the scenes, was at the forefront of NIL. And now with this build out, I mean, it's only going to help build separation between us and the rest of the country, the rest of the conference.
Brent, I'm sure you set financial goals. Like I know Ryan Day, for example, at Ohio State, publicly put out a number that he felt he needed to raise every year in NIL at Ohio State. Do you all have those targets that you're willing to announce or disclose publicly?
We're not willing to put exact numbers out there at this point in time, but you know, we've had a number of prominent supporters over the past year and a half, right, with Go Enterprises that have been dedicated to you know, getting LSU to a number that is sustainable and you know, for not just for the current but for the future. So I won't speak to exact numbers, but obviously we have some lofty goals internally, and we'll work directly with each and every one of you that calls in or emails me looking to help support it.
Can fans give to a specific sport if they wanted to?
Yeah, so right now on our website, there's an opportunity on the support page. Mm-hmm. When you click to donate either on a monthly basis, annual, or a one-time deal, you can add a message there with your preferences as far as what sport your dollars go to, and so obviously we have the ultimate discretion at the end of the day, and working and with LSU and the sports programs to get a better grasp of how NIL can best impact them. But definitely, if you have a sport that you wish to support, make sure you note in that message feature.
Cool. If you're watching, I have the website pulled up right there, and you can see that right at the bottom where it says yearly or monthly, here's the dollar amount, add message, and then there it is right there. Easy enough to find. Brent Cunningham, the president of Bayou Traditions. Before you go, also, I am looking here at the website, and there's a lot of there's different levels, right? If people want to be a monthly or a one-time supporter, and then there's a lot of different incentives. How do those play out? What's sort of what's the attractiveness there for fans, and how might those evolve as well? The incentives that fans could get for giving.
Yeah, so every membership level builds upon the previous one, so you get all the incentives of all the levels that are below whichever one you select. We'll be building those out and expanding them even more as we grow this collective. But and that's where it's a little different, obviously, than what you see as far as perks from donating to LSU or to TAF, right? So this is more student athlete centric because that's what, in-house at LSU and TAF can't do, right? So the impact, the direct impact to student athletes directly is what happens through the collective. And then also that in return for your perks, you get a lot more direct communication or perks, from student athletes specifically that you don't normally see when giving to, philanthropically to the university.
All right, Bayou Traditions, often running BayouTraditionsCollective.com. If you want to learn more, if you want to give, if you want to participate in the LSU Collective, you can do so. Again, BayouTraditionsCollective.com. He is Brent Cunningham. I know it's a busy day. Thank you so much for a couple of minutes today, and all the best moving forward.
Thank you. Looking forward to keeping in touch.
It is our pleasure. Again, Brent Cunningham with Bayou Traditions Collective. LSU's Collective is off and running. So, as I mentioned, and I'm glad he brought that up. So, Go Enterprises, which was the existing collective, is a piece of Bayou Traditions. So, I guess maybe it's just semantics. The way I asked the question was, did Bayou Traditions absorb Go Collective? And that isn't exactly how he said it, but it kind of sounds like, so they'll all be under the same umbrella, I guess is how it would work. So the funds already raised through Go Collective would still be available via NIL. So there we go. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. That is our Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day, by the way. If you go to the Twitter page at 1045ESPN, I'm curious if you'll give. Will you support Bayou Traditions? Will you give to LSU's NIL group? And I think you're going to have a pretty I don't want to say disparity. That's not the right word. What am I trying to say? I think you're just going to have a wide range of responses, and none of them are wrong. But it is an opportunity to give to support LSU's NIL opportunity, approach. And you've heard that a bunch before. I've heard from fans who have said, "Hey, what if we just sort of crowdfunded it?" Well, that's kind of what this allows you to do. $10 a month, whatever. And I've also heard from people who said, "I wouldn't give a dime for NIL." Okay, no worries. What I will be most interested in seeing is two things. Number one, does the collective's fundraising efforts step on TAF's toes? And I know the way I say that probably doesn't come across great, and that's not what I meant, but I think you essentially, are you taking dollars away from TAF to support the collective? Let's say a booster has $100,000 to give in a year that used to all of it went to TAF. Now does it go 50-50, 70-30? Either way, does it dilute that one fund to TAF? That's one question. And number two, I'm going to be curious to see what is the number you need as far as a percentage of your fans that are contributing at whatever level. Because if you have 100,000 people that are all given $10, $20 a month, well, now you're talking about a pretty scalable number now, like a pretty big number. Can you get to that? I don't know. Is 100,000 realistic? Maybe. Is it more like 10,000 that you might get? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to watch it grow. It's a new world that we're all sort of embarking on this journey together, so we'll continue to see. All right, it's after further review. We're talking some LSU baseball when we come back. We're brought to you by Hudco Roofing. HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. My goodness, as you might imagine, with all of the rain around in Louisiana on Sunday, our phones were jumping yesterday, and that's continued today as well over at Hudco Roofing. If it's at your home or if it's at a commercial building, if it's a TPO job, if it's a coating job, if it's metal or shingle, it doesn't matter. We do it all at Hudco Roofing, and we service the entire state of Louisiana. So here's what I recommend you do. If you have a roof leak or you have some issue with your roof or you think you might, let us come do a free, no-obligation inspection. You can go to the website, HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. Right on the homepage, you'll see where you can fill out the contact form for your free inspection. It'll take you 30 seconds. Or you can call our offices wherever you are in the state. Baton Rouge and Bossier, New Orleans and Lafayette. There's a 225, a 504, or a 318, and a 337 phone number. So no matter where you are in the state, call the number closest to you, and we'll get someone out to you ASAP. It's Hudco Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. All right, we'll talk some LSU baseball when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Miller Lite has more taste and only one more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota family to yours.
All right, let's say.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Well, Pell's losing streak continued. Lost the second of a back-to-back. Really, the one that stung the most was Saturday night, losing at home to Washington. Just devastating, man. They're down to 8th now in the Western Conference, and deep down in my soul, I know that whenever they're healthy and whole again after the All-Star break, they are going to turn this around. And we've seen them when they are whole that they're one of the best teams in the NBA. But you're losing ground now daily. So. You went from where you were in the 4 spot to now in the 8 spot, and there isn't really much light at the end of the tunnel whenever, tomorrow you're in Denver against the Nuggets, and it's just not going to let up. So they just got it. I mean, you're in Denver, then you're at Dallas. Saturday, you're home against the Lakers. Then you have a back-to-back home against Sacramento. You got Atlanta and Cleveland, so all at home. So you got a winnable stretch at home coming up. But hopefully you can get healthy and get to and then through the All-Star break and, get back to your winning ways. Because right now it is a tough watch for this team right now as they just continue to struggle, losing 135-110 last night at Milwaukee. All right, it is After Further Review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here. Tiger baseball team is back on the diamond today. Aaliyah Van from The Advocate is out there. She's live tweeting the workout. Chase Shores and Christian Little are on the bump for their respective teams. It looks like for the starting infield, Ben DePaul at third. We got Jordan Thompson at short, Gavin Guidry at second, Trey Morgan at first, Alex Milazzo catching the outfield from left to right, Pearson, Mick Paul, and then Josh Stevenson. So you've obviously got a little bit of the rosters being divvied up with obviously with Dylan Cruz being on the other team. Let's see, a couple maybe the most notable is that Dylan Cruz just hit a bomb off the scoreboard against Christian Little. So a 429-foot yak that left the bat at 109.4 miles an hour. It seems as though Dylan Cruz is still good at baseball, and that's going to be really beneficial for this LSU team this year. Muse went out to the box on Saturday, and of course, if you're following along, you can catch Muso at the box. However you get your podcast. Moose, you dropped an episode today?
We did. Dropped an episode today. Talked a lot about Saturday's scrimmage, a little bit about Fridays, just from some notes that LSU had posted, and a small recap of Media Day. So hit the high points on that.
Are you, so is this your only episode of the week?
No, I think later in the week I'm going to do one question and answer, like a Q&A. Just any questions people might have, send them in and do that. Just to get one more out this week.
All right, give me some spoilers from what you saw out there on Saturday.
Thatcher Hurd looked really, really good, which is not just from a actual pitching standpoint, but he looked strong. With a guy coming off an injury, obviously that was going to be the question. You didn't get to see a lot of him in the fall. It was once a weekend they'd run him out there for 1, maybe 2 innings. He was able to throw 3 innings on Saturday and looked honestly like he had more in the tank if they were willing to go. Fastball was steady, 95. He went through the harder lineup too. I feel like should be mentioned. I mean, he was facing Cruz, Morgan, Tommy White. Braden Joubert. Now, Joubert did get him for 1, but he bounced back really nice from that. So 5 strikeouts in 3 innings for Thatcher Hurd and looked strong, which, I mean, that was the main question, right, was how was he going to bounce back from the injury? And I like that Jay uses the preseason scrimmages to kind of start extending his pitchers as opposed to waiting for the regular season. So watching how they handle Thatcher Hurd the next 2 weeks, I think is going to be very interesting.
So Hurd pitched for one side. Who pitched for the other?
Blake Money started opposite him for the other.
Oh, that's right. Money started on Saturday. And Money got off to a pretty good start and then ran out of gas. Maybe
the second inning got him a little bit. His third inning and fourth inning that he pitched got him a little bit.
You mentioned Joe Bear, and I think Braden Joe Bear is going to be an interesting one to watch because this is a I think on Friday we kind of went through what the lineup will probably look like to start the season.
Yeah.
And Jay's disclosed a lot of this, and I don't think it's really surprising what some of these are going to be. I think Brady Neal is going to catch, but Alex Milazzo is going to, and I think Bear Jones will be in there as well. You're going to see all those guys. And it might be a thing where you have Neal start, and then Milazzo is the defensive replacement late in the game. I'm following along Leah Van's tweets, and Milazzo pegged Zeb Rudell at second base just now. So, clearly he's back from his injury and feeling good. You'll have Morgan at first. Second's interesting. It's going to be a revolving door, I think, as they get a lot of guys work. My understanding is ultimately they think Gavin Guidry is going to win that job. He may not be the opening night starter, and it may take a little while, but ultimately by the time you get to the point in the season where you're playing for your postseason, seeding, and then obviously also into the postseason, that Gavin Guidry, the talent, probably wins out.
And that would make sense, too, because, I think everybody looks at him as the heir apparent to Jordan Thompson at shortstop.
100%.
Right?
He is 100%
If he's that guy, he needs to be on the field as a freshman this year getting those reps, because even if it's just playing second base, you want him to have meaningful reps when he goes to play shortstop in the SEC next year. And, the talent jumps off the page. You can't miss it when you watch Gavin Guidry play.
And by the way, not just saying it because he comes on the show. That's what Terrio did. Terrio started at second base in 99, and then in 2000, 2001 was a starting shortstop. Fontenot went in at second. And then Tommy White at third, which the returns on Tommy White defensively at third are, I'll tell you what I was told on Saturday was he's a better option at third than Jacob Berry was a year ago defensively, which is a little surprising because he doesn't look like someone that would go man the hot corner, but apparently the glove is, while not elite, it's better than what you had there a year ago.
He made a great play on a bunt late in the scrimmage Saturday, Matt. It was Merrifield that bunted. Now, Merrifield runs well. He's not a blazer, but he runs well.
Mm-hmm.
You're not ever worried that he's not going to score from second on a base hit, right, type deal. And White charged it all in one motion, scooped, and threw sidearm over to first and nipped him. It was a flawless play.
In the outfield, I think we roll the lineup that I've kind of heard bandied about would be left to right. You'd go Pearson, Cruz, Paxton, Kling, who's the freshman that they're very high on and ultimately think will end up there. This is, I say the problem, but it's a good problem to have. The problem is if you have Braden Joe Bear, who mashed 18 homers a year ago, and on Saturday homered off of Money?
No, off of Thatcher Hurd.
Off of Hurd, okay. So he homered off of Thatcher Hurd. If Braden Joe Bear keeps mashing the baseball, you got to find a spot for him in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So do you hide him in right field where he is? Let's be honest. He would be a defensive liability. But do you do that to get the bat in the lineup? I don't know, but that's going to be, if he keeps hitting the ball that way, and I know people say, well, then DH him. The problem is, again, good problem, is when Paul Skeens isn't pitching, he's going to DH. Paul Skeens is your third best hitter on this team behind Dylan Cruz and Tommy White. So Paul Skeens is going to be in the lineup as your DH when he's not pitching. So Paul Skeens will pitch Friday and DH Saturday, Sunday. So what do you do with Joe Bear? These are the questions ultimately that Jay Johnson's going. Again, good air quotes problems to have, but I think that's probably this may be internally the toughest thing for this team. Is you have some veteran guys who have played a lot, who have performed, that may have to just come to grips with accepting a diminished role this year. And how does that happen internally? If you're winning, it's probably okay. I think they're going to win a lot, but I think that's going to be tough. So anyway, go ahead. Joe Bear in the outfield. What do you think?
Yeah, well, they had him in right on Saturday. That's where he was. You saw it a little bit last year, and it's just it's for the bat. There's really no other way to put it. It's not to say Joe Bear's awful and out there. He can at least be serviceable, but you have better defensive options for the outfield on this team. You might not have a better option for a bat in that spot than Braden Joe Barrett points in this season. And I mean, look, Saturday was definitely one of those days. They didn't retire him until like the 7th inning.
I had someone mention to me this morning, but Joe Barrett only had one error last year. You got to keep in mind when you're talking, like, sure, you could have throwing error from the outfield, but more often than not, it's your inability to get to a ball. That's the issue. That's the liability. Mm-hmm. If a ball's hit, if he's in right and the ball's hit in the right center, like Mark Laird was always getting to that ball.
Yes.
With Braden Joe Barrett, it's a double off the wall. Like that's the problem where you say it's a defensive liability. So, but the question could become like, okay, well, would you trade the defense for offense or flip it on its head? Because you have so much offense in this lineup. Would you put a glove in a premium defensive spot or a spot out there to get another glove in the lineup because you have enough offense to compensate? Like, these are the questions that we're going to learn with this team as it goes along.
Depth is a massive advantage for this team, though, on the mound and in the field and in the lineup. I mean, I think that's what we're ultimately getting to. You just have to find the right. It's the old conversation you have every year, right? Your best 9 versus your 9 best, and that's what they're going to be after, and it's going to change throughout the year.
I did want to ask you, because you and I were talking off air, and like I've heard a ton about Paxton Kling. I haven't seen him yet. You said he kind of had a rough day in the outfield on Saturday.
They had him in left. Yeah, it was really a rough inning. He had a couple fly balls that he overran, and they just fell behind him. I mean, which obviously isn't what you want, but that's the first time I've seen that through the fall, and again, the first time going out there in the spring. He had been pretty stellar, but the big one allowed a couple runs to score, which you kind of can't have. But I mean, I'm willing to put that aside as more of an outlier than the rule with Paxton Kling.
For those, I realize we're spitting out a lot of names as well that, like, if you're deep into LSU baseball and you follow recruiting and you follow the fall ball and everything, you'll know a lot of this. But I do also understand that a lot of people, this is like if it's surface level and you don't get into the team until the season starts. I do understand, but Kling is a freshman. He's going to play in the outfield. He's from Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
He was like the player of the year in Pennsylvania. And they like him a lot, and he's a guy that ultimately they feel like internally he's going to win an everyday job in that outfield, and may even be your opening day starter in right. We'll see how it all shakes out. But you got guys like Pearson, you got guys like we mentioned Stevenson. Do you put Joe Barrett in the outfield? So, it's almost incredible to think about how much talent you have and how the big issue is going to be how do they divvy up innings? How do they get guys ABs? Like. I mean, you've got veteran guys on this team. Like Joe Bear's one. Obviously, Gavin Dugas is someone you mentioned on Friday who's got the 8 jersey, came back for another year. Cade Beloso coming off the injury. He's back for another year. Like, how do you get these guys at bats and innings and reps? And it's, it's an unenviable task that Jay Johnson has, but it's one I'm sure he'll take on as opposed to what he had a year ago.
And even a guy like Jared Jones, Matt. Like Bear Jones, he had a ball 112 miles an hour on Saturday and had 3 hits over the weekend. Like, he's got to hit at some point.
That's another freshman catcher for those that don't know. Yeah. They signed 3 of the top catchers in the country this year, and they weren't sure that any of them were going to come to school, and they got 3 of them to school.
All 3 of them.
All 3 came. So, because Ethan Frey.
I think it's Fry.
Is it Fry? Okay.
They were announcing Fry over the loudspeaker.
Well, Jay said Frey.
I know. Well, Jay also said Reiselman all year last year, too.
You're right.
I love Jay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Cody Dickerson. It's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper to bumper auto service, name brand tires at wholesale prices. You know where to find them there at Shawbills. And very pleased to announce the 18th location of Shawbills is coming to Laplace. So we're excited to tell you about that as we get closer to the grand opening over at Shawbills and Laplace. And of course, as always with Shawbills, every time you buy tires at Shawbills, they extend to you the Charlie's Dozen. That's a dozen benefits of buying your tires at Shawbills, and that's not just for you, but for every member of your family, even if they did not buy their tires at Shawbills. Go to ShawBillsTire.com to learn more about the Charlie's Dozen, like free tire repairs, free alignment, free balancing for the life of the tires as needed. It's Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. All right, it's after further review. We'll get Otter Locks here in about 15 minutes. Oh, boy, if you were following the Otter on Twitter last night, none too pleased about what transpired with Cincinnati. So Otter Locks is coming up. We'll see what the Otters got for us tonight. That's a little more than 10 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, I definitely want to talk about what Travis Kelce, his actions post-game. We will get to that. And the NFL has set the salary cap for next year, what that means for the Saints in free agency. We'll get to all of it. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Another raving fan shout-out for Darren James and Associates, powered by eXp Realty. This one comes in from Teresa Zito, who said, Darren did an amazing job selling our home. He kept us informed every step of the way. He's extremely knowledgeable, helpful anytime we had a question. The advertising he does for your home is over and above. They kept us constantly updated on the closing so that we had no surprises. We knew we were in good hands, and Darren and his company had our back while trying to sell our house. Customer for life. Another 5-star rating for Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Darren has the system in place to get your home sold faster for more money. So, don't trust your home to just any realtor. Certainly don't do it by yourself. Call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com for Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Today, people are walking to a bar. The first.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
This is a good point from Jacob Falcon via text. He said, we had Brent Cunningham on with us earlier, who's the president of the new LSU Collective that launched today. Bayou Traditions is what it's called. And they have different models set up where it's essentially, the way he described it, was like a subscription model where you can like have a monthly contribution, like $10 or however much. And Jacob said, he, meaning Brent, talks about it like it's a subscription fee. It would be cool if in that subscription they could acquire the rights to actually stream video of exclusive stuff like behind the scenes for game day and all. That's a pretty good idea. I don't know if they have the rights to do that, but part of the deal announced today is that LSU Gold, the streaming series, is the sponsor of the Bayou Traditions Collective because the deal is done in conjunction with LSU Sports Properties. I don't want to go too deep into the weeds because I don't think many people understand how this is all structured. That's okay, and I don't need to, and I only have as much knowledge of it as I do because here, our company is Guarantee Media, and Guarantee Media has the flagship rights to LSU broadcasts. And as a result, obviously, Playfly Sports is the one that manages LSU SP and all those rights deals. So we have a lot of dealings with LSU Sports Properties, is the long way of saying it. I don't know, but that's a great idea. Like, if you did give to the collective, could you get a subscription to LSU Gold? That would be pretty cool, and that would actually be a really cool way of further distributing the LSU Gold content. I don't know, but obviously LSU and LSU SP wants more subscribers to LSU Gold because then they get that revenue. That's the problem, right? It's almost like everyone internally is competing for the same dollar. And how do fans determine where to get? Do I subscribe to LSU Gold? Do I give to the collective? Do I give to TAF? That's the tricky part. And they've got to sort all that. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. But say again what I've always said. You do with your money what you want to do with your money. Sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is, like the Cincinnati mayor. You probably saw this video before the AFC Championship game. If you're listening, not watching, this is the mayor of Cincinnati at his desk in his office before the AFC Championship game doing this video.
Good afternoon, Cincinnati. I have a proclamation from the desk of the mayor. Be it proclaimed, whereas the Cincinnati Bengals are headed to Burrowhead Stadium for their second consecutive AFC Championship game. Whereas at last year's game, the Bengals scored more points than the Chiefs, resulting in a Bengals victory and a Chiefs loss. Whereas Joseph Lee Burrow, who's 3-0 against Mahomes, has been asked by officials to take a paternity test confirming whether or not he's his father. Whereas all season long, Cincinnati has been on a path of destiny, fighting it out to overcome anyone who stands between them and a Super Bowl win. And whereas Kansas City is named after its neighboring state, which is, just kind of weird. Now, therefore, I, Aftab Purval, mayor of the city of Cincinnati, do hereby proclaim January 29th, 2023 as They Gotta Play Us Day in Cincinnati. Thank you.
They gotta play us day, and we all saw how it went. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20, and on the post-game podium, Travis Kelce had clearly been paying attention to that little video.
I appreciate you. How about this beautiful trophy? Huh? Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
I have, Muse, often said what has often been my desire for sports, for athletes, for coaches as they deal with the media.
Make it more like a pro wrestling promo.
Make it more like pro wrestling, and I'll be damned if he didn't literally do that.
How dare you, little jabroni? Know your role and shut your mouth!
I mean, Travis Kelce literally went The Rock on the mayor from Cincinnati. I mean, I have asked for it to be more like pro wrestling, and I'll be damned, Travis Kelce completely delivered, and it gives me an opportunity to play this from Wedding Crashers.
And then everyone said jabroni.
Play it again.
And then everyone said jabroni.
He's got the cake in his mouth. So good. Play jabroni again. Play it again.
And then everyone said jabroni.
I need a button. Over here. I'm so good. Thank you to the Cincinnati mayor for being a dork, and Travis Kelce for completely verbally pimp slapping him on national TV, and for giving us an opportunity to play that line from Wedding Crashers.
And then everyone said jabroni.
Everyone said jabroni. Seamus O'Toole, Bobby O'Shea. I'm ready to get drunk. It's such a great scene. That whole sequence is just
it's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't think after tonight you're not going to be able to white dress anymore.
In the photo of the bridegroom cutting the cake. Like, what are you doing?
He's getting in the photo.
I know, but come on.
I perfected it.
That's so good.
Oh, all right. It's after further review. We'll knock out our final break of the show, and when we come back, Jimmy will be here for a little bit of Otter Locks to find out what we're betting on tonight. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers. Actually had a great convo earlier today. My buddy Stevie Levy, the king of the wing, over at Pluckers. 2 locations, Nicholson and Bluebonnet. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Can I say Super Bowl? Or do I have to say the big game? I guess since it's technically not a promo, whatever. A week from Sunday, start thinking ahead. If you're going to be having your Super Bowl party, of course, the most popular food items at a Super Bowl party are wings and pizza. So ditch the pizza and get your wings from Pluckers. You want catering orders, they got them for any size. We'll tell you how when you put your order in early. Name your pickup time, everything like that to make it easier for you. Of course, you can Uber Eats, DoorDash, all that stuff. But tonight's Monday, so start thinking about what you're going to do. It's 5:45. It's almost dinner time. Get them by Pluckers. Tonight and every Monday, all-you-can-eat wings. Pay one low price. Eat as many wings as you want all night long at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, delivery, Pluckers. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ATEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal. supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We appreciate you for being here. We'll get to Otter Locks in just a quick second. This news from Tom Pelissero and others. Of course, Brock Purdy was injured in yesterday's NFC Championship game. And the news, not great. Brock Purdy suffered a complete tear of the UCL in his throwing elbow. He will undergo surgery. Pelissero does note that Purdy's getting a second opinion. The initial hope is he can undergo a repair and not reconstruction, which is Tommy John, and be ready for training camp. So we'll see, but the injury to Brock Purdy, obviously we knew if you were watching the game it was serious, and clearly it was. All right, it's after further review. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Oh, all right. After those masterpieces yesterday. My goodness. My goodness. Got the 2 unders, but lost the 2 sides.
Yeah.
But you know, I saw you tweet that, you know, it happens every game. I would beg to differ with you. So I'll point out a lot of things that were just a little uncommon from the officials.
Oh,
yesterday.
sure. The officials were terrible. Yeah. The officials were terrible. And Joe Burrow threw 2 interceptions and could have been 4, and yet a moron hit a guy 3 feet out of bounds, and you actually you were gifted a touchdown by Patrick Mahomes dropping a football.
Yes,
they had a touchdown come off the board, which cost them 4 points. Come on. Like, you want to go through with a fine-tooth comb and screen by screen, like slow mo, frame by frame, every play of the game and see where a call was missed? Let's do it.
Kansas City was the better team. Kansas City was the right side, but there's all kinds of games when the right side doesn't cover. And they were in position to steal that game at the end. And I thought the officials took the game away from everybody. And no, the last hit, that's called 98% of the time. You can't make contact with a quarterback that far out of bounds.
Yeah,
no. But there are a lot of 50-50 calls, 37 calls that did not go Cincinnati's way down the stretch.
That was not a 50-50 call. That was
No, that was a 98%. No,
that's not. I don't care what team you're pulling for. If that's your quarterback on the sideline, everybody wants that call. Everybody.
Right. So, all right, 3 college basketball games tonight.
All right.
Just a big line movement. Interested in this. Iowa State was -1. They've jumped to 2.5. So that's 8 o'clock tip. I've got Iowa State, of course, by it to 3. But we will do some digging on that and see why 3.5-point jump just within the last 5 minutes, as I talk to you right now. In reverse order at 8 o'clock also, Texas. Well, Tennessee was outstanding. I'm not going to ding Texas too bad for getting beat the way they did in Knoxville on Saturday. Tennessee showed you just how good they can be. We're going to bounce back with Texas at home, -4 against Baylor. And 1 6 o'clock tip at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. We're going to take UVA, Virginia, -5 against Syracuse. Light night in college hoops, but that's what we're going to go with.
Okay, so Iowa State +3, Texas laying the 4, and Virginia, help me out on the line there, Otter. I'm looking it up.
-5. Cinco.
Okay, Virginia -5. There we go. Where are you tonight, man?
Fin bomb.
Yes, sir. Right there.
Yes,
Burbank next to Rouse's. Great people over there.
They're doing some seasonal things, too. A gumbo ramen and a king cake daiquiri. So, I mean, all but dressed up in the, King's float, throwing beads to people in Burbank. I mean.
So good. All right, man. Did we lose Otter?
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry. Okay. Anything coming up on the show tonight? People need to be on the lookout for. You got picks. Who's coming on tonight?
Well, we're going to be in-game and on Virginia-Syracuse. In-game is going to be a hot topic of our conversation today. Troy Macker's going to tell us how his action was in-game and, just kind of tell people, because you have so many long commercial breaks during the Super Bowl, in-gaming just enhances the sports gambling experience for the Super Bowl so much more.
Yeah.
And so there was some things that were obvious. You didn't get on them, man, you just missed it. And so when just trying to give tips and approaches and things like that. I mean, my goodness, when Brock Purdy showed that he couldn't throw a ball past 5 yards, I mean, what do you want to do with the in-game or Philadelphia the whole bit? And so just a lot of things going on because, and what have we learned from Philadelphia to this point? Not their fault, but, just a lot of breaking it down on where the line movement at Circa, our friends at Circa, saw it go 5 points. They opened Kansas City 2.5. They went all the way to Philadelphia minus 2.5. So inside the numbers left and right for yesterday's games and also Super Bowl.
All right. Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us in Baton Rouge. If you're not in Baton Rouge, online at 1045ESPN.com or the Game Time with Jimmy Ott Facebook page. Thank you, Otter.
Good luck, Matt.
All right, man. Same to you. Thank you. Otter again gives out Iowa State +3, Texas laying 4, and Virginia laying 5. The last is tipping off here in about 5 minutes. We're brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com. Boy, we appreciate Jim Woodworth and the gang. I want to remind you that if with all the rain yesterday, you ended up having water in your home, you end up with mold or need any remediation, Mold Zero can help. Mold-0usa.com. Mold-0usa.com. No need to cut sheetrock and pull out insulation and all that stuff. Just call Mold Zero. Mold-0usa.com for Mold Zero, servicing Greater Baton Rouge and Greater New Orleans. All right, it's going to do it for us here on a Monday edition of AFR. Muse, Paulie, thanks so much. Y'all have an awesome night. Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us. Remember, Hester and T-Bob are live at the Senior Bowl all week. Tune into the guys in the morning. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Sky, I've got that sunshine.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev.